Welcome. Today we have Sally Reid. She is the creator of the Bliss system of quantum alignment. Her mission is to help people with the impossible so that they can easily overcome life's most difficult obstacles and set themselves up to never be troubled again. Her two near-death experiences enabled an enhanced connection to the universe and the ability to see, track, and manipulate energy. Through this gift, she has developed a number of simple life hacks to change your energy to overcome challenges quickly. Thousands of people have let go of autoimmune problems, business challenges, and behavioral and emotional issues effortlessly fast with her help. Welcome, Sally.
When you read that, I was like, wow, that sounds too good to be true. I was going, wow, does she really do that?
Well, you do, and it sounds so wonderful. I mean, who doesn't want to overcome their life's obstacles, right?
Yeah. And it's really interesting. And people are going to agree with this. Every single obstacle is something in there that we put there. Either we inherited it, so we put it in there, or it came in genetically. It doesn't matter how it got there. It's all something there that we have an agreement to have.
True enough.
And it's all energy. So that's why what I do applies to so many different things, because whether you have an emotional expression of it or a physical expression of it or an outward appearance expression, i.e., your business keeps pushing back at you, it's all energy and it's all in here. All of it.
Yes. Yes. Everything comes from within, and all the answers lie within as well, which leads me to my first question, which I ask everyone, and that is, what does enlightenment mean to you?
Oh, goodness me. I know it's going to sound very odd, but enlightenment means that everything's okay. And enlightenment means that it all just is, that it's like, well, yeah. To me, that's what enlightenment means. Like, okay, sure. Like you see these funny memes where somebody says something really hateful and the person goes, yeah, okay, back. That to me is enlightenment because it's okay, whatever it is.
No good, no bad. It just is, and it's all the same.
Hmm. The only person who gives it meaning is me. And in the universe, there is no good, no bad, but it's all different. And so if I decide that the meaning is good, then it's all good. And if I decide that the meaning is all bad, then it's all bad. So at the enlightenment level, it just is. And it's up to me to translate it.
Yes, I like that interpretation. It's perspective, it's worldview, it's all of the ways that you perceive what's happening and whether it's happening to you or for you, all of those ways that we look at the world and think our place in it is one way, but that the grand scheme of things, the grand system, we realize when we have that universal perspective, we realize it's so much bigger than that. And it's not at all what we thought or what we were trapped in thinking.
And plus, everybody who thinks that they are the only one, or they're alone, or they're in this on their own, they are not necessarily happy. The thing about enlightenment, it's a we. It's not an I. It's an us, not a me. Whatever you do to somebody else, you're doing to yourself. Whenever you're getting mad at your partner, you're actually mad at yourself. And a lot of times that's really true too. You actually are just mad at yourself.
Yes, and I've heard that the thing that bothers you most about other people is actually a projection of something that you're doing.
Oh,
So,
100%.
yes. So tell the listeners a little bit about the two near-death experiences. I want to hear this story, how this happened and how you came to work with quantum alignment.
Well, I started working with quantum alignment because I basically backed into it. It sort of was presented to me on this gigantic platter, and how dare you not do this, you ungrateful beast, you. But Both near-death experiences were like most other people's near-death experiences, and they're by accident. The first one, I was quite young, and it was textbook. It was textbook. The garden, the flowers, the meeting the relatives, the golden, the light. I'm sure you've heard it. Everybody could practically sing it together. It was completely textbook. And my favorite part was the part where just after I died, the above the body looking down, only I started out like beside, and there were all these people around me. I was on an operating table and I died on the operating table. And there were all these people around me. And you know how little kids try to peer past the adults? I was like, what are they doing to that girl? That was my favorite part of it. And then I slowly became above it. And then, of course, the light just pulls you on. But yes, very, very textbook. And the second one was not textbook. And it was completely alone. There's no other people around. And to this day, it still frightens me a bit because it should have gone the other way. I came off a horse and I broke 3 vertebrae in my neck. And the way that they were broken, it spells DEAD, most officially. My orthopedic doctor took one look at the x-ray as I was breathing in his room the day after it happened and started yelling at me. He was furious. Like, how are you still living? You're supposed to be dead. And scream. I mean, please don't yell at me. I'm clearly alive. I have a headache. My brain is swollen. But what happened is I broke my neck. And then what happened after that, there were all different kinds of interventions. First, there was the whisper in my ear that told me instead of lying on my back the way it was with my neck cranked really far back, which was compressing my spinal cord, somebody whispered in my ear to roll over. And I rolled over and tipped my head forward like that on my hands. And then I died right after that. And I came above my I was not nearly as gentle and sweet as when I died the first time. I had to swear at myself a little bit. And I had to, God, how dumb, you know? And then the light, you pull through to the light. I was going through the barn because I was with a horse. I came off a horse. And so I was walking through the barn. And as the light was pulling me to the end of the barn, I did as my habit to look at the clock. You know how you always have something you do when you have a routine, a pattern. Every time I left the barn, I always look at the clock. And I looked at the clock and it was 1:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on April 15th. And the next thing I know, everything disappeared and I'm up in the light. And as I'm being pulled in the light, I see, and these are figures that other people have exclaimed about, the tall figures that are at the gates, the tall figures. People have talked about them before in near-death experience. And I came to the people with, I call them the guys with the clipboards, but I came to them and passed in through the gates and was starting to go to the Golden Room area. And they stopped and they touched me and they said, wait. Oh, okay. Yes, of course. I mean, what do? You just passed away. And they explained to me, that it wasn't my time, which is what I've heard before. Clearly, it was my time. I was on the ground dead. I saw it. And no, you have a choice. You can go back if you promise to. And I'm like, promise? I take promises very seriously, as we all should, right? I take them very serious. And they go like, what do I have to promise? They said, heal the people and tell the truth. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do that. Oh, no. I didn't know exactly what they meant. But the next thing I know, I wake up and I'm in my body trying to figure out what happened. And then that's when all the miracles started happening. That's when I got up and started walking around. I had a broken arm and I wrapped it up and drove myself to the hospital. All these miracles stacked up over and over and over and over again. Driving a pickup truck to the hospital with the broken neck. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I shouldn't have been even breathing. And so that's where the miracles started stacking up. And when it hit me, like the full extent of it hit me, I'm like, oh no, what did I promise? Oh no. And it frightened me, as it would many people. And then over the years, I've become more and more matter of fact and comfortable with it. And we've sort of negotiated that it's not about me, it's about the process, and it's about ascertaining a way for all humans to connect on the level that I connect, so I can teach them to do what it is that I do. And that's where I am right now, is to help people discover the thing that they really are breathing for. The whole reason everybody turns to spirituality is, what is this thing about me? And to help them discover who they are without all the masks, without all the trauma, without the baggage they brought in or the baggage they collected, and just help them find out who they are and do it quickly and efficiently and with a lot of love and gentleness.
That's an amazing story. Wow. Wow. So many layers to that, so many things in there that are just profound, obviously. The way you described being served it on a platter and not really having a choice, I think that's how a lot of this happens. Whether it's a near-death experience or not, even if it's a spiritual experience on this plane, let's say, it's not really on this plane, but
I get it.
it's really one of those things. I felt I don't have a choice with this. This is not something I really get to decide. It was an instruction that I felt compelled to comply with. And it was also very urgent. It was like, you have to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, go as fast as you can, do this now, do this now, do this now. And it went against everything that I perceived about myself, the constraints that I had previously placed on myself about being a person not in the public eye. And it really forced me to do the death of the ego to get over that. I had to completely
Process.
cast myself aside and say, this isn't about me at all. Whatever you think me was is no longer. And you're now a vessel for this information that you have to spread to the world.
It's definitely, it's definitely a process, most officially. And for me, what happened to me is every time I tried to turn away, it's like, oh, I've got free will. I can do something. My life would suddenly go garbage until I was like, okay, 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 I'll do it. I mean, there are
Mm.
so many times, like at one point, this is one of my favorite parts. This one point, I am literally dying of pneumonia. So this is 2005. And my chest was literally rattling. I'm being urged to go to the hospital by the connection that I have, the voices. And I just said, no, I don't want to work for you. I think I will lay here and die. I was like, no,
Uh-oh.
I have free will. I don't want to do it. I'm too afraid. And I was terrified. And I heard, oh, I don't think so, essentially in my head, like, oh, you think you're in charge? Watch this. Literally 2 seconds later, my newly licensed daughter comes walking into my room because she had just gotten home from school to ask me a question, as daughters do, right? And she screams, oh, Mom, you're blue, and throws me in the car and takes me to the hospital, where I am
Mm.
admitted and I live, clearly.
That's the other question. What happens if you break the promise? Which maybe it's not breakable.
It's like I was a mule, like having to be beat into the. It's like tap, 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 keep moving. And every time I turn away, no, tap, 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 tap. It was repeated issues. Like every time I tried to turn away from it, some catastrophe would happen. But that one was the most obvious. That one was like, ha, 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 ha. You think you're in charge.
So you found, and you said you came to an understanding. So how did finding that peace with the purpose come about where you stopped resisting and stopped struggling with that call?
Well, it's probably exactly what you did. The ego died. The ego died. It was only the ego that was doing the resisting. It was thinking that it was about me and things, and people were looking at me. Yeah, I have a physical shape, but I could be any other physical shape. It would still be the same thing. So it doesn't really matter. It's just my ability to convey the message and to teach the people and help them connect in a way to do the most good. Because, and I don't mean people to be upset, but there's so much misinformation flowing out there in the realm of spirituality. And so many people have a tendency to turn spirituality into a form of religion when all it really is you in relation to spirit, which is in relation to everything else. And so your interpretation is the only interpretation there is. So the fact that you connect directly is the whole point.
And I'm a big advocate of that. And that's how I've always felt. It always bothered me that there were doctrines saying, well, there's a there, but you can't get there from here. You have to go through me. Because I knew intrinsically that I could get there, that I'd already been there, that I was going there. And that wasn't the truth. It was just a fear-based.
It's control-based.
Yeah.
At one point, and this was a very interesting thing, it was during my argumentative stage. And I kept saying things, I don't believe you, prove it. And so I don't know why they kept after me. I don't know, but I mean, this literally took years. And at one point, I was told to go get the Bible because I said, if you're truly giving me the word of God, because that was the next way they tried to get through to me. Now, this is really the word of God. And I'm like, I don't believe that. I left the church years ago, kind of a thing. Then they said, well, go get your Bible and open it up and we'll show you the word of God. I opened it up and the pages were blank. There's like maybe 2 or 3 lines here, then you flip through more pages, and there's another line there. But most of the words were gone. It was like blank. And it was like a visual phenomenon that was going on in my mind. And I just burst out laughing. It's like, that's a really cool trick.
I like that trick.
That's a very cool trick.
Yeah.
Oh, another cool trick. I was arguing with, I think this is about 2007 or 8. I was arguing with them again, saying, well, if you want me to do this, I need money. Will you give me the lottery numbers? And the voice said, yes, of course. So they told me to get, at the time, it was both the Powerball and the Mega Millions, right? So I wrote quietly all the numbers. Okay, give me the number for the Powerball. And I wrote it down on the ticket, and then give me the number for the, and they wrote it down. You know what they did? They gave me the exact numbers for all of them, but on the opposite. And so I had every number for both drawings, but it was on the opposite sheets.
Wow.
And that was to prove to me that the guidance that I was having was all powerful and spiritual. And I had, in fact, signed a contract, and I better get to it.
But we are still living in the 3D world, which revolves around money. So unless they want you to become Gandhi, what's the middle
I
part
tried to
there?
explain that to them, but
Yeah.
we've worked it out now. We have worked
Okay.
it out. And I just needed more and more of my ego to die. It
Yeah.
took so long. It fought so long.
Yeah. And it's a very long process. It has so many layers to it where I mean, you have to find that middle ground, right? Because we can't be destitute if we're going to get the word out. We have to have technology. We have to have all these things to get it out across the globe and all of that. But also, it's a service, and there's got to be humility in there. And that's where the ego part gets all wrapped up. And a lot of spiritual teachers, I think, are so wrapped up in the commercialism of it that they've strayed so far from whatever message it originally started with. And it's really difficult to find that balance. The whole reason that I was told to make this podcast and the whole reason I did was out of service. It was to elevate the stories of other women. And a lot of people might say, well, why are you, promoting these other people? You should be the one on the other side of the microphone. But to me, it's a collaborative elevation that can only be done together.
And it's also a fallacy that giving a service must be done for free if it's done in service of spirit. That's a lie. It's when I got shown that it's simply the flow of energy, and energy is simply a shortcut. Money is just a shortcut for energy, and money is neutral. It vibrates almost exactly the same level that love does, believe it or not, money. And it's just a vibration. So it's a clear exchange. I tried working for free and it almost killed me. That's how I know this. I need the energy to come back to me when I transfer the energy out to other people. And when your cancer goes away, or your business starts exploding, or your relationship with yourself is such that you actually want to be in the same room with yourself without distractions, that is exchanged for money, and then I stay healthy. So my sister made herself sick helping people for free. And she thought that was the right thing to do.
That's true. That's the other side of the coin, where you're giving it all away and you're literally giving away all of your energy. I know you have done a lot of live readings, and I used to do a lot of live readings too. And it's exhausting. I would end up just completely drained, massive headache, just felt like a stone afterwards, just had lost everything. Being an HSP, being an empath, being an intuitive and an introvert, and then going into a situation like that where there's so many people and so much energy and they all want something from you. It was just so draining. I had to step away from it.
I used to do it on Facebook too, and all the noise of Facebook. Oh, I was giving live readings once a week for free for people.
Yeah, I was
Just
doing
with
it
their
multiple times at one point. Yes, in the chat room, not on Facebook. It was a great exposure, but it was so taxing. Yeah.
It is very. And that's why I don't do it anymore. And I used to do it on Instagram and on TikTok until one day I noticed that within 20 minutes, it felt like somebody had taken my life force out of me. And then I swore I'd never do that again, and I haven't. Everybody says, "Oh, you should go live." And no, no.
Yeah. I want to talk about the energy thing because I agree with you so much that money is energy and is an exchange, and it's perceived in such a different way on the 3D reality than it
Yeah,
is.
people wrap up too many meanings in it.
Yeah.
And it gets mistaken for love so often.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not love. Money is simply a catalyst that makes people more of what they already are. And lack of money makes them less of what they could be. And that's all it is. We have turned money into literal energy. That's what we've done in this society. And then we wrapped up all other kinds of meanings on top of it, and status and everything else.
Right.
And it's unfair for the money.
How dare we do that?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about quantum alignment. I love discussing the quantum field. I love discussing the universality of our existence and all the potentiality of that, because I think a lot of people just have no concept of it and have not experienced it. So explain to the listeners a little bit about that.
Well, the best way for me to explain the quanta when I look at it, especially when I'm, I don't know, spelunking for somebody's hidden stuff, is the Sesame Street song, "One of these things is not like the other." When you see things flowing in the quantum, and you've probably seen this yourself, there is a certain flow, and it's almost like looking down on cloud cover. There is a certain flow to things, and then there's something that sticks out. At least I made an agreement with the thing to stick out. And it's because that vibration is a lower or different or alternate vibration than the other things around it. And so therefore it's noticeable. And with the idea of disruptive wave action, all I need to do is send the exact inverse of that vibration, and it becomes a no thing.
Fascinating.
And it's exactly like if you are at the shore and you see two waves of the exact same frequency, because a wave is a frequency, all the particles are moving in agreement, all those little water molecules. If they hit and all of a sudden the wave disappears, that's what I'm talking about. You're like, where did that wave go? They both hit each other. They didn't explode. They canceled each other out. And that is one way of looking at things. And another way of looking at things is in the quanta, everything is possible all at once. So all time is now. All things are everywhere. You just need to find the everywhere that is in alignment with this human and then get them together. That's another thing that works. And I see you play that same way. And it works beautifully. It truly does. And then to take that to expand it, this is what's really cool. And I don't know if anybody knows this. Have you read or heard or seen what people are calling Hara lines, Hara, Hara lines or Hara lines? They
Yeah.
are the electrical grid. We already know about the fuses that show the flow of energy, that is the fractal of the Earth's flow of energy. But then there is the grid system in the Earth. Well, humans have a grid system that connects them with everything else. That's how we are all one, is through those lines. And most people believe there are only 7. But I recently discovered that the lines, the Hara lines that we have line up directly with the quantum field lines, and there's 10. And it is the coolest thing. You're the first person that I've told, other than a client, that there's
Amazing.
actually 10 lines. It's like the string theory. They line up with the
Oh,
string
yes.
theory in the quantum physics. It's the
Yes.
coolest thing.
I love
And we
string theory.
all have them. Some people have them on, some people don't. And it's akin to being connected to the electrical grid. Some people are engaged and some people are off, you know?
Yes. Yes, I do. Thank you for sharing that. I'm definitely going to do
You're
some
gonna go look for them now.
investigating. Oh, yes. There's two things I want to say about what you said before that. The first, where you said the two forms of energy meeting each other and the dissolution. How is that different or the same from transmutation?
Transmutation is more like when an electron jumps fields, where the vibrational field changes based on the interaction with another vibrational field. And so I would say transmutation would be more equally akin to, if you're going to go chemistry, the making of a solution or changing when the two elements hit each other. Or if you want to go vibrational, then it's the jumping of electrons or just the of the vibrational particles.
Yes. And so that's really what I try to do in terms of my dream integration work. When I do the dream sessions and we discover those subconscious blocks, those things that are preventing you, those energy spots that are keeping you stuck, the themes that are coming up over and over again in your intuitive mind, and then go into a place where we integrate that knowledge, but allow that energy healing to take place too. Transmuting, transforming, recombining.
In the recombining, that's life. That is literally life. That is everything that is considered alive on the planet, the recombining.
Mhm.
And so it instantly gave me a picture of fertilization, mitosis. It's all just a creation of life. And so at the fractal level, here's the tiniest particle that can do that. Then you expand it out and it becomes universes that can do that, that split apart, that can join up, that can create and dispense. And so then it becomes like too much for my brain to comprehend. It's like, oh no, that's too much.
I love that though. That's why we're here to have deep discussions.
Yeah.
But also, I will love what you said about time. And this is partly also what I always bring up when people say, well, are my dreams premonitions? Am I having precognitive dreams? Is this something that's going to happen in the future? That is the point where I have to say, let's step back and talk about time and the fact that time is an illusion and that we just perceive that there is a then and a there and that it really is all happening all at once, which is why parallel realities are possible, why things in physics have presented those possibilities of different trajectories, different timelines, things happening simultaneously in different dimensions. Because, yeah, you might know this, and yeah, it might happen, but it may have already happened, and it may not. You have to destabilize the whole concept of time in order to explain precognition, basically.
Yeah, you do. I have a great dream sequence for that, memory sequence. I'll boil it down very shortly. You know how people have stress dreams where they are not in control of something. And I had a repeating stress dream about driving a car that had no brakes. I had this dream, and that's a very common dream. I had this dream repeatedly. And I ended up buying the car that had the dream that I had in that dream. And I named her Sweet Pea. She was teal green. Anyway, I drove this car, and at random times, I would have these dreams of where I had no brakes, where I would put my, and each time in my dream, there would be a new way to figure out how to solve that problem because most everybody, if they're having a stress dream, it's an opportunity to solve a problem that you're ignoring in waking life, right? I shouldn't be telling you this, but you know this, right?
Oh, yes.
and so, and so I had that dream so many times and solved it in so many different ways that when it actually happened, I went, oh, instantly moved into that thing. No, it wasn't precognition. It was just my brain kicking in on a learned thing. And the dream was there because it was an expression of me being warned that you're letting your life get out of control and all the other reasons why one has that dream. But I had solved that problem so often that when it actually did happen, I was able to solve the problem with no muss, no fuss, no freaking out, no elevated heart rate. Just, oh, we're going to turn right. So I don't run into the back of that car. Look, there's a way. And oh, we're going to turn left now because there's another car in front of me. Whoop, off you go. You just, and it was at the time hilarious to me that not only did I not ascribe any meaning, but I was actually able to feel very grateful in the moment for having stress dreams because it had no, to me, I mean, would you say it had spiritual meaning?
I would say that it depends on what the actions were that you were taking each time that you were trying to fix it.
It was different every time, yes.
Yeah, because when I work with people's recurring dreams, we look at what's the same and we also look at what's different. And that helps us understand the underlying issue, but then also how you're choosing to approach it differently each time also gives us more information about what's changing in your life.
Yeah, I tried many things, like the emergency brake. I tried dropping it in very low gears. I tried turning it in very tight circles. I tried many different things, but it was the casual turning.
And it's interesting that you just didn't panic as most people would. And do you think that you would have normally in that situation? Or are you just,
Had I not had the dream so often, yes, I
yeah,
probably would have panicked.
right.
But like, oh, I've had a million dress rehearsals for this. This one's fun. I know this one well. And it started not long after I started driving cars at age 16. And when it finally happened, I think I was 27 or 28. So I'd had it for years,
Mm,
like at least 4 or 5 times a year or more. And then I never
fascinating.
had it again after that.
Well, something else before we go that I want to talk about is the Council of Truth.
Buggers. I love them dearly, but they're the ones that have been helping me.
Yes.
Um, when I first met them, I had just had a very deep healing session, and the woman asked me, "Okay, do you know what you're going to do?" And the voice came out. I heard the voice say to her in my head, "Well, of course, she's going to finally go heal the people and tell the truth." And I repeated that to her. And then I said, "Well, who is this? Like, how dare you speak to me in my head?" kind of a thing. And they said, "Well, I am your Lord." I said, "I have no Lord." And they basically started giving me every single name for all the voice, every single voice that has already talked to humans over millennia, to Amun Ra. They gave me this, they gave me that. So disrespectful. I mean, so disrespectful. I just can't believe it. And then finally, I settled on, well, we should call you the Council of Truth because it is we, as in we're all collective. And this energy, because I still have a problem with them, this energy known for what they do. They do call themselves Abraham. In all the different entities, it's all the same entity. And the entity is to instruct and uplift whoever will pay attention, essentially. And all humans can hear, but most of them don't listen.
Sure enough. Yes. Well, people are listening right now,
They are.
and it's the perfect opportunity to relay a message that needs to be received.
Okay. Do you guys have anything you want to say? Yeah. When you're in doubt, do not look outside. Always look in. And when you are afraid to see what is in, then you ask for help.
It's beautiful. Yes. And so true. And that's why we're here today, is really just to offer that support, offer those examples, show the world that we're all similar, that we're all going through this together, that we're all spirits having this human experience, and that we can make it so much easier for each other by supporting each other, by helping, and by sharing our experiences. But that when it really comes down to it, we have to walk that path alone. We have to do the inner work. But when we go inside, what do we find? The universality.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In fact, in many writings, the kingdom, the worlds are all available inside. And every single prophet, we'll call them, all the way from Buddha on, have all talked about the universality of connection.
Yes, it's there to discover. We
It
just
sure
need to
is.
know how to walk between that world and this world is the biggest challenge for most people.
And I might have some help with that. There are a lot of people who feel there are certain shoulds and have tos whenever they're in alignment with spirit or whether they're dealing with the human world. And I'm going to beg to differ. And here's how I would answer that question. When you are in alignment with yourself, then every person you talk to is a reflection of you. Every action you make is your action. Any action they're coming around to you is an action that is connected to you. And so if you are answering in a way that is comfortable on the inside, then all things are in alignment with spirit. So as long as you are able to say, I choose connection rather than being right or being a victim or being any of these other things, it's just I'm choosing connection, then yes, you are in alignment with spirit and you can have a human experience.
Yes, that's very helpful. I think that will help people because it's taking a different perspective. It's setting almost on a daily basis. We can talk all we want about mindset, but as humans, it doesn't last. It's a daily recurrence because when our brainwave alters and we go to sleep and we go to the other dimensions and then we come back, we end up in this dimension, we have to reset it on a daily basis. And that's where the practice really comes in.
And the practice is choosing connection. Choosing that I will be in alignment with what my heart feels is right. So when you break a promise to yourself, you're breaking a promise to everybody else. When you are acting to win, to harm another person, then you are harming yourself. And when you are needing to be right, if you're in an argument, oh, I have to be right. At what cost is that? Without collaboration is a very hollow thing.
True enough.
Yes, it really is.
Well, I'd like to give you an opportunity to share where the listeners can find you. And I know you have a free gift for them as well. So please tell us a little bit about that offering.
Oh, certainly. It is 15 questions you can ask to bump yourself out of a state. And a lot of times we get ourselves in tunnel vision, or we will get stuck in an emotional state or a physical state. And especially if you work alone or at home, like a lot of people do these days, you don't necessarily get the opportunity to have somebody help you and coach you. Or maybe your partner is not as gentle and kind and compassionate as you may want. So these are questions, self-help questions in different categories, and there's 15 of them. And the last question is my very favorite, is what is the best use of my energy right now? That's your question if you get super overwhelmed. And I love that one. I stop. I've got 15 things I need to do right now. What's the very best use of my energy right now? And it helps instantly bring things in focus. And if somebody wants to find me, it's pretty simple. It's at sallyreid.com. And Reid is spelled R-E-I-D.
Amazing. Yes, I love that question. I'm going to keep that one on my wall because as an INFJ, I am prone to overwhelm quite often. So I will make sure to put that as one of my little sticky notes. What is the best thing I can be doing?
Yes, what is the best thing I can do with my energy right now?
Yes.
And here's another thing that I have been given advice about. I do tend to get overwhelmed. Like if I have more than 4 things I have to accomplish, then I'll go into a freeze. And so I'll always narrow my choices to 3 and then pick the one that stands out, that lifts up to me, because that's the one my heart wants. And even if it isn't logical, I do that when I'm picking food at restaurants too. The choices are too. I'm a Libra too, on top of that. And the choices are too many. I will go, is it on this page? No. Is it on this page? No. I did it yesterday when we went out to eat. And I'll just run my finger down until, oh, it's in this section. Is it this one? No, no. There it is. Yes. And I'll ask it, and it'll be something I had known I wanted. And it ends up being perfect.
I like that. It's kind of like selecting a card from the deck, but
Like
using
it.
it for ordering food. How genius.
Yeah. You just have to trust yourself, and it becomes a really fun game.
Yes, I like that. I have so enjoyed our conversation. It went so many places, but I've really enjoyed it. And it's been one of the most unique conversations I've had in a while. So really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Yes.
having me. I really appreciate it.
So yes, again, thank you very much for being here, Sally. It was great to
Thanks
talk
so
to
much
you.
for having me.
Thank you for listening. Did you enjoy this episode? You can now send me a text message and share your experience. Be sure to subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode. Head over to my YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button as well to be part of my growing community. Are you ready to take the next step in your spiritual journey? Don't miss out on the new Dream Empowerment programs. Unique opportunities for you to unlock your inner wisdom, discover your authenticity, align with your higher self, and bring abundance into your life. If you'd like your dream or awakening story featured on my show, submit it today. Your dreams have the power to inspire and enlighten other women on their journey. Visit meganmary.com to find out more.